Welcome back, everybody, to Rob's MetalWorks. We are here at the home studio to bring you once again the best that the city has to offer. You guys have heard me talk about the band called Within the Giant's Reach. They are finally here on the big program after a lot of work has been done. The record coming out in May, and the guys are here early from all over the country to talk about it. So I have with me the fellas in the band, all of the fellas in the band. Great to have you guys here from Missouri and all over where you're from. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. I'm so happy to finally talk about this record because I've been a fan of the music for quite some time.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Let's first talk about the formation of this band. Will, I know you're not a San Antonio native. You came to San Antonio obviously because of your personal life. Talk a little bit about how you kind of get involved with the music scene here in town. Obviously, you've done a lot of networking. You've made a lot of new friends. They're all here tonight. And now you're finally able to say, okay, here's my shit, and here's my music. And a lot of people out there, the fans, the music fans, are really going to come onto it too. Those of us who are your friends and musically and in the scene have had a chance to hear your music, but a lot of those people out there have not. So let's first talk about your formation. I know Norman, your frontman, is very close to you. So let's talk a little bit about that first and share that with them.
Okay, so we wrote the first three songs early last year, and the whole idea was that we were going to build the band on it. And we looked at the concept of what really wasn't in the metal scenes right now, trying to provide positive messages and bringing lyrical songs back to metal. And that's what this dude does right here. He brings the message back to metal music. And so we wrote the first three songs and got them recorded, and then built the band based on that. And everything, man, just kind of fell in line after that.
So how do you know Norman? Norman, how do you know Will?
Well, we used to be in a band together, and for about a year. I was already in that band for about, 8 years before you joined the band. And
This was in Missouri?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, share that with some people because people don't know.
Yeah, me and him were in a band called Compelled to Destroy out of St. Louis. Compelled to Destroy was together for about 8 years before he joined the band, and he was in it for a year, and then due to his job, he had to move to San Antonio and sent me some tracks. I listened to it, and I was like, I got to be a part of this, so I jumped on board.
So at that point, we decided that it was going to be a regional project as opposed to being very localized. Yeah. So
let's talk about the name, Within the Giant's Reach. I love kind of like the conception artistically that you guys have kind of portrayed in the market. I always kind of see like the little man and the big mountain, or the little man and Goliath, and it's really cool because when I see that imagery, it reminds me of like the struggle, that we can overcome despite overwhelming odds. Is that it?
Absolutely. So the entire theme of the first EP is mind battles and physical struggles and so on and so forth. So it's all about the giant always being in reach, and that giant being your physical or your mental struggle, and you're always in battle with them. And when
don't forget the women in our life, we struggle with them too.
no doubt.
That's the biggest fucking.
I was waiting for you to say that.
Oh my gosh. So
Or Jason. There's always a Jason in your life, that's for sure.
God.
but you're always battling with those struggles, and the giant's always in reach. So it just made a whole lot of sense when we were writing this album, and when we were putting this whole thing together and through fruition, man, it just made a lot of sense to call it Within the Giant's Reach.
Well, when you came into town, I remember you sending me a track and sending me some information, and I get inundated sometimes with music, and sometimes I don't have an opportunity to really quality listen to what people are sending me. And I remember you didn't stop, man. You sent me another message. Rob, did you hear our shit? I'm like, no, man, I didn't. But let me jam it now. I'll get back to you. And when I first heard the track that you sent me, which was the Summit, it was an amazing amazing experience. I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, why didn't I listen to this earlier? This is so cool. And I wrote you back and I jumped on board right away, because that track really, to me, personifies what Within the Giant's Reach is. There's a lot of a lot of sampling in there, kind of a little bit industrial, really down-tuned heavy stuff, and Norman, what he's doing with his vocals, all the different things he's doing. And there was just so much like sonic landscape in that song. I could hear so many things. I remember I heard it like 3 or 4 times, and I could hear something new every time I heard it. I thought, wow, this is fucking cool. A band in San Antonio is doing something like this. And of course, that was before I knew you were from Missouri.
Yeah,
but nonetheless, I still love the music, and nonetheless, you're part of our scene now here in San Antonio. You live here. You're part of us now. So, man, I was so happy. If someone told you, Will or Norman, explain to me what you're doing musically, what do you say?
A sonic assault of positivity. I mean, that's where I would go with it. You? What do you think?
Enough said.
It's crazy. It's just sheer energy. The music from second one to it's well over 24 minutes is just nothing but energy. It never stops during this EP, and we're proud of that.
And the EP is finally done, right? How many tracks will be on there? And talk a little bit about some of these other tracks. I've been privy to hear the entire record, but these people have not. So talk a little bit about when the EP comes out in May. When can these people anticipate?
Well, there's 6 songs, and I'll let Norm kind of fill you on, which ones.
There's just all kinds of different tracks. Like he said, the Summit is the struggle that we deal with every day in our lives. Rise is kind of a little bit of a continuance of the Summit, in its own way, though. And then Scars is about those bullies out there. We hear about it on social media. We hear about it in the news. These bullies are coming to schools and beating up on people, and just making kids feel like crap. And that song it hits home with me because my son personally has dealt with that.
Yeah.
Going to school. And Collapse and Rebuild is more or less when you completely have gone down in your life to the bottom, to the lowest point in your life that you can hit, still don't give up. Just keep going. Just keep going. Keep going. Keep driving. Just don't give up. I'll let you go.
Probably one of the most political songs that we've done, and I hope we've done it in a very tasteful way. Same Blood is very based on some of the struggles that we're facing in society today with race and sexual orientation, religion, all those things. It kind of brings it all home together and focuses on humanity and the human race. So.
One of the things too that I've recognized, and one of the things that actually attracts me to the band, is just this positive vibe you have. And I was talking to your manager, Jason, before we started, and he was talking to me and telling me, like, Rob, what's the vibe like in the scene? Is it positive? Or, there's a lot of politics involved. And for you guys to kind of come into our scene, not being part of the old, politics, for some of us who've been in this scene for a long time, and those things kind of build up, I mean, they really come into play, And you guys, you even started a page, right, where it's kind of like a community of metal fans, and you what is the motto? I read it all the time.
Well, so
we both came up with it. It's called Unity, Not Separation. Basically, my whole basis behind Unity, Not Separation, and this happens in a lot of different markets that I've been involved in. Wherever I've played shows at, I've seen a lot of this subgenre separation thing. Like, a lot of bands are like in this clique or in this clique and in this clique, and honestly, what it needs to come back to is that we're all metal. Metal is just metal. There should never be a subgenre, hardcore, deathcore. It's all metal. We all have something to bring to the table and become one big, huge family of metal. And that's what it's based upon.
It basically segregates the scene, and what we're trying to do is the markets that we go into, we're trying to unify it so that it becomes more of a community-oriented areas that we go into, as opposed to, like he said, the clicks and so on and so forth. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it in St. Louis. I saw it in California.
You know, it comes down to like death metal bands playing with hardcore bands, playing with thrash metal bands, playing. You know, everybody can. You know, there's different spices in every show.
Yeah. some of the best shows are the most diverse shows, because those clicks, that as much as we don't like it, those clicks meet with those clicks, and then they start meshing together, and they're like, you know what, I really do like that, and I like that, and it starts bringing everybody together, and then it's not about what genre you're playing. It's all about metal.
Don't ever be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to say, hey, you know, you're a deathcore fan, but you like some death metal. You like hardcore. You like thrash metal. You like. Don't be afraid to you know, think outside of the box. Don't put yourself inside of a box and keep yourself there.
Now let's talk about this beautiful group of men that we have here behind you. Obviously, you and Norman are at the heart of this band, but Will, I remember you were telling me, Rob, I'm still trying to find other people to kind of, so that we can play live shows. And you were telling me, Rob, I want quality people with me. Because when I heard the record, I remember one of the first things I told you was, are you going to be able to pull this off live? Because if you're not going to be able to pull it off live, then
it's not worth it.
It ain't going to, you know, it's not worth that much to me. But, you know, I always kind of gauge bands on the live and on the recording. Some bands can do both. Some bands can do one or the other. You told me, Rob, we're going to do this live, and it's going to sound like the record live. Absolutely. So share with us a little bit about, obviously, you got some good people with you now. You feel confident. You're here interviewing. You're going to go on a tour. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. So share a little bit about who you have with in the band. Okay,
so we have Evan, drummer. He was the first member to join me and Norm. Honestly, I think it took like a half hour to really know that this dude was it. He had that fresh style. He was into more of the progressive stuff, which adds to what we were really trying to do, because we in our music we touch all sorts of genres. So having Evan on made it so much easier to pull off the live stuff. You want to say something, Evan?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I came in. I probably rehearsed, like, I think it was a Summit, probably for like a couple, 2 or 3 hours or something like that, and just really tried to get it, you know, maybe not perfect or whatever, but to the point where it was, you know, it sounded good and it was playable and whatever. You know, we set up a date, and I went in, and Norm, you were there, right? Yeah. You were there that day, right? Yeah. Went in and, you know, played the song for a little bit, and we played it over a couple different times, went over a couple different parts, and I mean, it just pretty much came together. I like it, honestly, like playing it with a guitar player right there in front of my face was just like the best part of it, because I got to feel the song a lot more, and I think whenever Will heard it, you know, being played with a real drummer, it just excited him more. You know what I mean? So that's just a little taste.
Yeah. I worked.
And then he was able to bring his own flavor.
Right. I worked with Monster Sound Media to really work on the first 3 tracks and get it going. So that when Evan came on was like really that first time that I actually heard a drummer playing, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, what about these two?
Okay, so we got Lenny plays guitar.
Lenny, you are the other guitar. You are his counterpart.
Yes.
And actually, Lenny and Eddie, they interviewed the same time, and it was after track 3 was track 3 was finished, and then we started writing track 4. And Lenny came in and really hunkered down and got the first 3 tracks done pretty quick. And after that, when we were really trying to work on the other tracks, he kind of really stepped in and really basically centered what we were trying to do and getting the message across in the other 3 songs. So it was an easy pick to bring Lenny on, and then we got Edgardo over here. And
are you
Hello.
guys from San Antonio?
I am, yes, sir. Born here.
So talk a little bit what it's been like working with this band now. You do other music? Or?
Well, since I've been within the Giants Reach, it's been great. I mean, I've kind of been hoping to find a group of guys that are very dedicated, you know, and are consistent with practicing and just communicating with each other in terms of what we want, you know, now short and long term. I mean, it's godsend, I would say, you know, to meet a group of guys like this. When I actually had a friend of mine send me a message, you know, connected me with William, you know, and I sent him a message on Facebook, and I was fucking hoping that, oh man, I hope this guy, you know, hits me up. I really want to do this, you know. Moment I got the message back from him, I went on YouTube and I started playing, practicing the Summit, you know, on the Faceless, even before he even, you know, mentioned, hey, start practicing these songs. So when we got together, you know, the first day, it was pretty cool. It was smooth, you know, told us everything he wanted, you know, and same reciprocated back to him what, you know, I wanted as a band member and stuff like that. So.
Will made you drive all the way out to the studio in the country?
Yeah. I mean, I don't live too far down from where.
That's the best place to do it.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Share
Lenny?
something, Lenny.
Yeah, when I first actually started with this guy right here, Spencer, we were trying.
Spencer connected you with these guys?
Yes.
Oh,
It was before he joined these guys, we were trying to start some stuff with other buddies, but it wasn't working out. So he was the one that told me that he was actually going to try out for them. So I was like, all right, cool. A couple of months later, I think it was a couple months later, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He actually hit me up again and says, hey man, what do you think about, you know, within Giants Reach? Yeah. So he actually sent me a Collapse and Rebuild, and when I heard that, so I heard the other song before, but when I finally heard a Collapse and Rebuild, I was like, fuck yeah, like, you know, I like it. So
that's because I put my flavor in that one. You know what I mean? And he was like, okay, all right, we can work with that. So let's go with that. So from there is when he told me, I forgot what time it was, but when I pulled up, like it was out in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, where's he taking me? What is he gonna do to me? I was like, is this? He's like, we're gonna bring him in the studio and have our way with him for a little bit. Yeah.
Put him out there with the pig.
Yeah, we'll just see what happens. You know.
But yeah,
We'll
from that day, I knew like inside that I was gonna, you know, be a part of it. So
Absolutely.
Well, it looks like you guys have a pretty solid lineup, and now you're able to progress with what you want to accomplish. So let's talk a little bit about that. But before we do, the record will be out May 12th. Is that right?
May 11th.
May 11th.
Yeah. Record will be out May 11th, and
Where can fans get it?
first off, they'll get it on basically everywhere digital downloads are sold. You'll be able to get it on Bandcamp. You'll be able to get it on Big Cartel. We'll have a Square store set up. Pre-orders will actually start April 1st, and this is the first time you'll hear it other than the press release. Those will start April 1st, and you'll definitely see a teaser out for the entire album, which is going to be awesome.
So keep your eyes open, San Antonio and people around the country who are watching this interview. The band is called Within the Giants Reach. The EP is called In the Beginning. Very cool artwork too. The big Arctic mountain and the little climber trying to persevere and overcome. And that's what I love about it, man. Great songs, great production. Let's just quickly, I think you kind of you shared a little bit about that. This record was recorded with.
It was recorded with Monster Sound Media. Travis James, stellar dude. You guys should go check him out. And
It sounds fucking amazing on my stereo.
Absolutely. And then Arctic Studios actually did the post production, so good on them too. Brandon, awesome dude.
Would you guys
Check him out.
make hard copies available?
Oh, absolutely. So, like I said, the pre-orders start April 1st. And then May 11th, the hard copies will be available. We'll definitely have them out on tour, but if you go to any of those sites that I mentioned, hard copy will be available.
I want one, Will. I want one for my little collection. So now the record will drop. You guys are going to be out on the road. Let's talk a little bit about that too. What are the plans for road work?
Okay, so right now we have the In the Beginning tour. It starts on May 25th and it runs through the 3rd of June. And that 3rd of June date ends up being in San Antonio at Fitzgerald's on the 3rd. It's going to be stellar.
Is that the last date of the show?
Absolutely. It's the last day.
Oh God, we're gonna have to party.
Yeah, that's
Jason, you gonna be there?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, I'm buying you a shot, man.
So
ready to drink at that point. 10 days on the road with these guys? Yeah. Get in here real quick. Get in here. Say something real quick.
yeah, talk about.
This is Jason, the band's tour manager. He's quite the character.
I have my moments. The tour is going to be great. It's been a lot of hard work, but and people ask me, well, why these guys? Because I don't have to sell these guys. The music sells it. Like you said, it grabs you. I was probably one of the few people outside of Will and Norm to know about Giants. I remember the day he told me about it, and I just knew then that this is something that I wanted to do. Very proud of these guys, the work that they put in. I mean, everything down. I've been bugging him for 2 years to play shows. I didn't get it. I didn't understand the timeline. That this guy is very meticulous and anal at times about stuff.
Yeah.
But
He's ex-military. Bingo.
but it's the tour is great. We focused on areas that we knew we were going to be the strongest out of the gate, that we would have somewhat of a following. We're going to start off in my hometown in Kansas City, right outside Kansas City at a festival called Rockstock. After we play Lawton the night before, we play Lawton, Oklahoma. Jerry Church, real good people down there, gave us an opportunity to go into Lawton and play. Then we're going to head out and we're going to just hit the ground running. We're playing a festival. And then we're going to hit Norman's hometown on his birthday weekend. Yes. Wow. St. Louis, which is an incredible lineup on there. And then a couple of the guys that we're playing with on Sunday have graciously decided to bring us to their hometown, so we're going to hit there. And then we're working on Memphis and Clarksville, and then we're going to shoot down to Houston. We're at Acadia on May 31st. Yeah. We're at Come and Take It on June 1st over in Austin. Real good guys. Yeah, I saw that. And we're gonna take one day off to catch our breath, and then we're gonna come into San Antonio and we're gonna burn it down with these guys standing behind me here. Vernon of Persia right here. So and we've got anonymous.
Vernon of Persia in the fucking house tonight, supporting, loving Robs, loving Giants, and these fuckers, when their shit comes out, we're going to be talking about that too.
Well, we got the anonymous henchmen, the other local on that bill.
Oh, yes.
So people ask why we do what we do. This is why. This man right here and this man right here is why I do what I do. And guys like this. And guys like this. So. But yeah, that's the tour.
Awesome. Okay, guys. As we get near the end of this interview, obviously you're going to want to promote this release as hard as possible. I had heard that there was going to be a video. It kind of faltered. You still want to do the video?
Oh, absolutely. So when we get done with this first leg, that's our primary focus. Is we've been talking to a lot of people, and actually one of them is in the room tonight. So. We're going to be focusing on knocking out that music video, so that's going to be our first priority when we get back.
Nice. Well, guys, I mean, God, I think we covered it all. I am so happy that you guys are part of our scene now, because you guys are bringing something that I've not heard in our scene before, and you're kind of bringing this whole new, beautiful perspective into our scene. I was talking with Jay earlier, and I was like, some of us who've been in this scene too long, there's a lot of beefs and stuff. I love how you guys are bringing, we need to be unified. We need to be a community, and it takes people from the outside to come in and kind of look at it and see what's happening, and to say, yeah, that's true, man. And that's why I love working with young bands, because they're not part of those old beefs, and they're not part of that that stigma. They want to be, they want to work hard, they want to persevere, they want to be successful. And many of you guys are going to be very successful, not only in San Antonio, not only regionally, but across the country. We've seen it happen many, many times in this city. San Antonio has that special vibe that people come to, because we are, quote unquote, the heavy metal capital of San Antonio, of the world, I guess. I don't know. And we love it. Guys, as we end out, any last words? Anything you want to share? Anything I missed that you want to say to the people out there who are watching this interview?
So one more quick shout out to Monster Sound Media and Arctic Studios, Dirtbag Clothing, Death by Metal St. Louis, and Face Melt Logistics.
Also, shit. I mean, God, what else is there to say? I mean, you're just gonna have to wait. You're just gonna have to wait to hear it. To be honest with you, it's gonna knock your fucking face off.
Well, tell people to come throw down at the San Antonio show.
Definitely come to all the shows, and not just ours, but go to all the metal bands out there shows. Support your metal.
That's pretty much it. No, that's everything.
Just want to thank my dad for helping me out. Thank you, Dad.
Good love, good love. I'm a teacher, and I know how many kids out there don't have good dads, man.
Thank you for having us here. Appreciate it. MetalWorks, dude. Hell yeah. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Appreciate it, Rob. Thank you.
I love good music. I love good bands, and I love good dudes. And you guys are good dudes too, man. Yeah. Remember, everyone out there, the band is called Within the Giant's Reach. Their debut EP coming out in May is called In the Beginning. Be sure to keep your radar on for it when you see it on Facebook and social media. Download it, buy it, jam it, because it fucking rocks, man. That's why you saw them here on Rob's MetalWorks.